Hey, it's Kirk here with Secret Nature. I am out walking the dog this morning. There's something I wanted to show you for a while, and the weather's pretty nice today, so I thought I'd give you a little view of this beautiful street here. Kind of looks like a lot of other ones here in St. Paul, but back in the 1980s, something happened. All the beautiful boulevard trees along this street died because they were all elm trees. And elm trees were susceptible to Dutch elm disease, so all those trees died off. And come on, doggy. What happened was the city came in and planted green ash trees to replace those. And what's happened now is they've been growing nicely for about 30 years. They now are some big mature boulevard trees. You can see some up here above me growing up nice and big. But the problem is that these trees are susceptible to their own problems. And now this neighborhood is sort of ground zero for the emerald ash borers that have been moving in and are destroying these trees as well. So, you know, in the city's wisdom, when they had one species of tree that completely died off and killed off the whole neighborhood, they said, hey, let's replace that with trees of all one species again, because that could never happen again, right? But sure enough, now it has happened again, and all the trees are dying. So I want to show you what that looks like and what some of those signs are that you can tell these trees are dying. Note as we come up to this first tree that there is this suckering growth coming out of the right-hand side. Now, this tree is dying at the top, but the roots are still healthy because the ash borer, the little beetle, isn't really affecting the roots. So what's happening is that energy is coming up and it has to kind of go somewhere, is one way to think about it. So it's starting to send out suckers in an attempt to stay alive. But the top of the tree is dying by this point, and there's nothing that's going to save it. This tree here is taking on a characteristic barrel shape at the bottom. There's sort of this unnatural swelling that is typical of trees that are heavily infested with emerald ash borer. You can see this one that the dog is inspecting has gotten so bloated at the base, the bark is actually starting to flake off and the tree is dying. The next tree down the block is showing the same thing too. Big scars on the bottom where the bark is just totally flaking off. The infestation is spreading fast around the neighborhood. We can pretty much safely assume we're going to lose all of the ash trees. St. Paul actually has about 60% of its tree cover as ash trees. So imagine within a few years, 60% of all the trees in the city dying. It's a pretty major impact, and it's going to be spreading more and more around Minnesota and other states if it's not already where you are. The thing about it is, you know, we can get ahead of it somewhat. The city is going out and cutting down ash trees proactively. They know when it really hits all the neighborhoods, there's no way they're going to be able to cut down enough trees per year to keep up with it. So they are going through ahead of time and taking out old and dying trees and replacing them. And you know, we're going to have to replace them with something else, just like we replaced all the elm trees with ash trees back in the 80s. Hopefully this time we'll be a little more forward thinking and not do monocultures of trees down each block. So when the next disease comes and hits, which it will, we will only lose maybe 5 or 10 or maybe 20% of the trees and not 60%. So history does repeat itself. Hopefully we'll get a more diverse mix of trees here in the neighborhood, and next time when something comes through, we won't lose so many trees.